Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Commission on Disability meeting for Town of Tyngsborough. And today is Monday, November 18th. My name is Leanne Winchester. I'm the interim chair. We're going to go around the room, starting from my right, and introduce ourselves.
Good afternoon, Catherine Foster, Assistant Town Manager.
Karen Wolf, member.
Kathleen Alexandri, member.
Rayanne Jasek, member.
Seal Jerome, guest.
Great. Welcome, everyone. So the couple of things, we are going to make a motion to remove item number 4. We'll get to that, but just so that folks know, if people watching, we'll be making a motion to move that. But beginning with the second item, membership, is there an update on membership?
So at the last select board meeting, the select board approved the increase to our membership from 5 to 7. And so my plan is this week to start targeting to fill those vacancies with applicants from when we last posted a vacancy. So I have a few people that I'll reach out to and see if they'd be still interested to submit like a notice of interest, because we don't have an official application. And then depending on the outcome of that, I would probably post on social media, the town's website, looking to fill those vacancies. And then additionally, we're waiting on the appointment of an appointed or elected official. Right now, our new chief, which was recommended by the former chief to serve on this committee, we're thinking of giving him a little bit more time to get adjusted in his role, and then maybe looking to see if there's another town official that might be better, be able to serve in this capacity, might have maybe a little bit more experience. So we're going through sort of vetting out who we think we could fill, who should fill the role. Maybe I'll also look at the school departments as well, see if there's any interest there. So more to come on that. Mm-hmm. And then the second item is we'll probably also wait to figure out the new roles for this fiscal year. So Leanne has been kindly serving as interim, but we'll hopefully, once we have everyone here at the table, we'll look to make changes, or Leanne might be very satisfied as serving as chair since she's doing such a great job.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that confidence. I would like to say that when thinking about new membership, especially if there are folks watching, do we ever do targeted membership? We would be really fantastic if we could get someone from the school department or representing the younger population. I mean, we're thrilled to have some representation, but if there could be additional representation. Right. So that doesn't fall on like just one person, that somebody that actually has a child with a disability, or a young person with a disability, or a family member with a disability that could have the time to join us. I mean, we're a fun group, so it would be great. But certainly all are welcome to apply, but it would be really great if we could look for someone
Be great.
within that age group. That would be terrific. Are there any other comments on membership?
I will say the 2 new members approved by the select board, because Mass General Law requires that the majority be members who have a who
Okay.
identify as having a disability. They will have to be those 2 will have to fall into that category. So it'll be a little bit more specific than probably in the past, but
Okay. And
just
so,
as a,
if I can just, sorry to interrupt, so if I could just say, so we are specifically looking for individuals with a disability, and the disabilities are broad.
Mhm.
It's not just physical disability, and the term disability is broad. And so anyone that might be interested to have the time to really advocate, for folks with disability, that would be great. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. All right, so that's good to know. Any other comments? Yeah, Rayanne.
Is it okay if I ask the Council on Aging to put that out in their newsletter, that these are the candidates that we're seeking?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
think that is fine.
Yes.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah,
Because they do a monthly newsletter, so.
yeah, okay. Any, any other? No? Any other comments?
No,
No? All right. So we do have our guest here today. We're very excited. The next item on the agenda is Dementia Friendly Initiative. And I will just say, so the town of Tyngsborough, we did begin working several years ago on the becoming a dementia-friendly town.
Okay.
It was just on the heels of COVID. COVID hit shortly after that. And we had started with some momentum,
Okay.
and the momentum was lost, unfortunately, and, but now it wasn't lost completely. So
No.
we're excited to be re-entering into this discussion.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
Thank you. You keep talking about disability, but I've been asked to focus in on dementia. You're considering dementia part of a disability population? I just want to be clear.
that's a great question. No, and I will say no, it's what it is, it's a collaboration.
Okay.
With the councils on aging.
Okay.
And so it came about, I'm trying to think of how it came, I can't even remember, it was a few years ago, but about 4 or 5 years ago. And, but it did start here. It started here, and, oh, I remember, excuse me, at the time, it was a relatively new councils on aging in town, and yet there was a lot going on in the state around the Massachusetts becoming a dementia-friendly state.
Yes.
And so Tyngsborough was very interested in speaking with the councils on aging. They, with them being relatively new and the director being new, in order for us to begin working with the state to get folks to come out, we sort of just took it on.
Okay.
But clearly, it's intended as a collaboration.
Okay, okay. The word collaboration is very important, too, because there is some talk about combining age-friendly communities and dementia-friendly communities. They keep talking about that,
Yep.
too. But in terms of dementia, you talked a little bit about, we'll talk about before COVID and after COVID, okay? So before COVID, you began some project, and I think, was there a meeting? Did you have someone come out here?
Yep, we had a meeting and a presentation, we had a training, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a training, and it was at the old town hall, and we had a really good turnout.
Okay.
Yep.
And when you say really good turnout, the townspeople went to this meeting, and it was well received.
Right.
Did you get any input from some of the people who attended that meeting
Yeah, and
as to what they thought the needs were?
that's a great question. We might have notes on that, but I know that we had a town meeting, and we had a table at the town meeting, and we were collecting names of folks who were interested that might want to sit
Okay.
on a dementia-friendly board,
Okay.
separate from this one. And we did have some folks that were interested.
Okay, I didn't know where everyone was at this point, and what I did was, I did copy out some things that I had, and I thought I had 5 copies, but I have 4. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay.
But you can look on my copy, Rayanne, if you want.
Yes, that's,
Okay, so these are just basics. These are basics. And if the group that came out with you, if you have some of that material still available, maybe we can tap into some of that information, too.
do we have that available still? It was when
I can search.
Colin would have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yes.
can.
You know? And if not, invite them again.
Yes.
If not, really, because everything did slow down, if not stop, after COVID. So perhaps we could invite them again,
Okay.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering out loud here,
Yeah.
okay? And I did copy down some basics about what's talked about in terms of what makes a community dementia-friendly, what makes it friendly. So you already have your action team here in town.
Yep.
Have you conducted any surveys? Or where do you stand?
If we did, they're old.
Yeah.
They should be repeated.
So, okay, so it's basically starting over again,
Right.
okay?
First round was a pilot. Now this
Okay.
is, no.
Okay, all right, well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
So everybody will have a fresh face, fresh ideas,
yeah.
starting over.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then setting goals. When you say you want a dementia-friendly community, do you have an idea in your head already what you're looking for? What do you see?
Well, that's a great question, another great question. What do I see? I see a community where folks with dementia, because we understand there are many phases of
That's
dementia.
right.
And they,
That's right.
when somebody's diagnosed with dementia, they still go on and live a very,
Exactly.
fulfilling life.
That's
And
right.
so I see real importance as far as educating caregivers and family members in the community on things like that.
Yeah.
And so sort of taking away the stigma that is often, with dementia. And I think that, and so removing that, that scare tactic, when somebody gets that diagnosis, that it's, I think the education, so I see us as
Yeah.
being an educating community. And I also think that having, like, we have, we're a somewhat small town, but we have a lot of food establishments and things
Sure,
like that. And
sure.
having, opportunities
Yeah.
for folks to be able to, to be in there and knowing, so like restaurants, knowing that if someone has a dementia, that they would just, like
Yeah.
certain areas of the restaurant, making sure that bathrooms are
Yes.
properly
Yes.
labeled and,
Yes,
yeah, things like that.
right. So collaboration with I wrote some of these down.
Businesses.
Businesses, the police department, the senior center, who's providing home care services in this community. So you have the community at large, then you have family members who are taking care of someone with that diagnosis,
Right.
or who have already taken care of someone with that diagnosis. It would be good to have one or two of those people, I think, on your committee.
Right. Yeah, I
Okay,
think
so it's just starting from there.
Yeah,
You know?
and the caregiver role, extremely important.
Yes, it
And
is.
because many of the caregivers oftentimes have children of their own and working and
Yeah.
households and things like that.
Well,
Right.
there's a sandwich generation,
Right,
and I worked with somebody, several people who said to me, sandwich generation, that's just old-fashioned. I'm a club sandwich generation, because I've got my parents, then I've got my children, and then there's the grandchildren I'm taking care of too, because sometimes they're
That's right.
taking care of families too.
that's right. I
So
like that
there's,
club
so there's a
sandwich.
wide range of people here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? So you can go anywhere with this anyway. You can just start with one idea
Okay,
and go from there, instead of seeing the whole program. I mean, just start somewhere, so you can feel some success. A little hope and success. We did this. We got this accomplished, and then branch out from there.
okay.
That's where I'm coming from right now.
Yes, Rayanne.
One of the things I would see in a dementia-friendly community is, I believe that our police and our fire and our ambulance, they're all very trained in dealing with their dealings with someone who has dementia. But if we could help with caregivers understanding what to expect, so the police department letting us know what they need from caregivers or people that are concerned, but also, as a caregiver, I would want to know what I can expect from them.
Yes, yes. What
And
is
I-
available in the town to help out?
Right, and, when should I be calling them? When should I be asking for help, and who should I be asking for help?
Well, I think in this town, well, first of all, you do have an active senior center. And what would keep this committee from trying to sponsor a program at the senior center and inviting caregivers, not just the seniors, but inviting caregivers and talking to them about what's available, what we would like to do, how to access services, things of that nature. And I did copy some things down, but if you already have a dementia training, you've got some of this. But the handouts for people, okay?
And I know the Council on Aging is very interested in doing that. It's a matter, it's always a matter of timing, a matter of logistics.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
they will be wanting to hear at their meeting tomorrow what we talked about today.
Sure,
Okay.
you know?
All right, so I see here forming a team, an action team, is first, and then gathering information.
Right.
And setting goals. I think that, just even looking at those three, I think beginning a team, and we wouldn't want to set goals unless we have the team. The team
Right,
would certainly be
exactly,
part of setting the goals.
right.
Right.
you know,
So I would say the first thing is
Yeah.
to form the team,
Right,
and that would require meeting with the councils on aging,
okay.
and then working within that team to set the goals, and then from
Sure.
there, we can gather more information. Okay.
You know, so it's like a stepwise process.
Pardon me?
It's a stepwise process.
Yep,
But
yep.
I basically just listed these things, and I tried to summarize a lot of information,
Yeah.
because there's buckets of information out there at this point.
How do we advertise this?
How do we advertise this?
Yeah, from the step one, form an action team,
Yeah. Well, something just floated into my head. Every year you have a health fair in September or October, right? What's to
Yes.
keep this group from having a table there? Have you had a table there before? What's to keep this group from having a table there, having handouts with information for caregivers and dementia, having sign-up sheets for people who might want to volunteer to be part of this?
Yeah.
Now, I know this is November, we're talking next year.
Right.
But what's to keep you to begin planning something like that and having a table? And that could be one way of doing it, because it will take time. It's
Sure.
going to take time.
No, I agree. I think that, where are we at with the neighbor to neighbor? Is that still,
I
One more
haven't heard an
issue.
update on whether
there's
or
no
not it's been
update on that?
bought, yeah.
One more issue, and that's it.
We have one more issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, last I heard is she's trying to sell. I'm on a list of people that she will notify and give us the contact information
goodness.
if that happens, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Okay. I get something in the mail once a month. Who publishes this thing?
That's the neighbor to
That's the neighbor to
But you
neighbor.
think, oh, she's thinking of.
She's retiring.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's selling her business and, yeah.
I didn't connect it. Oh, dear.
But she's retiring whether it sells or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We have one more issue,
We have one more issue, the December issue.
right,
Right.
And that deadline's already passed.
yeah.
Oh,
the
okay, so
deadline.
we've missed that.
Yes,
Oh, dear.
So we'll have to talk about just other ways of,
We have the town social media account, town website. That's been the typical ways we've been getting out
Media.
information to the public.
yeah, there's the Tyngsborough Facebook page too, for all the local residents.
Do we know how many people access that?
I'm on it, but I'm not active on it, so.
Okay.
I can tell on our town-run social media pages how many people view things.
Okay.
I haven't looked in a while, but
Okay.
we do have access to that.
Okay, well, we can get information out through the councils on aging. They must have a newsletter.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
they
that,
do.
we should definitely work with the councils on aging and their newsletter and maybe start there.
Okay.
I'm wondering, not that I need another committee to be on, but I'm wondering if initially, when we talk about forming that action team, if it shouldn't begin with a member of the Commission on Disability, a member of from the Council on Aging, possibly a member from the Select Board, to get us grounded and set up goals. And then, we can look for other people to come in once we have a plan.
I would do it the opposite. I think if we're gonna set goals and have an action plan, it should be set by the people who are the caregivers and the people with dementia.
Yes.
If we could have a person with dementia and caregivers and others that are actually living with the experience, they're the ones that should be setting the goals and the action plans, and then I think we bring in the selectmen and the others. I mean, I wouldn't do it the other way.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Right. And I don't even know if it's necessary to bring in the selectmen. I don't see, you know, I think it's really should be a community thing where they're the ones. I don't know if that's correct. It's just my thoughts. If we really want to make this so that it's meaningful to those who are living with dementia and caring for someone with dementia on a day-to-day basis, they should be the drivers.
I agree.
So we do have a dementia-friendly Tyngsborough Advisory Committee already existing. It hasn't been dissolved yet. Is it something that we want to recommend that we maintain, or is it something that, and we see the benefit in the future, or is it something that we should dissolve and have something more? Or should we look at the charge in a future meeting?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that we had that. Are those folks from the community that,
Are they still interested?
Yeah, are they still
Are they still here and are they still interested?
I mean,
Yeah.
the whole entire committee is vacant. There's not even,
oh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, no one's on it, actually.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you want, I can briefly read the charge.
okay.
Well, not briefly, I'll read the entire.
What's the name of
Dementia-friendly,
that- I'm sorry, what's the name of that committee?
Dementia-friendly Tyngsborough Advisory Committee.
Okay.
The Dementia-Friendly Tyngsborough Advisory Council shall be tasked with advising the Commission on Disability on all aspects of the
Yeah.
Dementia-Friendly Tyngsborough campaign. This is an informal working group that shall work in advisory
Right.
capacity only. The Dementia-Friendly Tyngsborough campaign was launched by the Commission at the end of 2019 and has featured 2 events since. The focus on how residents, local businesses, and municipal government staff can work together to make Tyngsborough more livable for residents living with dementia. It's a part of the broader Dementia-Friendly Massachusetts campaign.
So that's a subset of this committee?
It
Yes,
appears
the
so,
way
yes.
The way it's
Subset.
reading, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so-
I think, I'm feeling strongly that it should be under the councils on aging, and that we should be a secondary. We shouldn't be the primary.
It should
Okay.
I think it should be underneath the Center for Active Living, and that it should be just we could work in tandem with them.
Yeah.
Have members a member from our group go to their meetings and their group to come to our meetings.
Mhm.
We'll get this, so we can get this advertised and started.
Yeah, and I say that too, because this commission represents, well, we advocate and represent all age groups with disabilities. And I just feel like I think it's great that we're involved with this, but I think to have this completely under us, I wouldn't want to have it appear that the Commission on Disability is only for the older population.
Yeah.
Does that
That
make
makes
sense?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think, yes, it should be just, we're friends. That's the best way I can put it. We're
Yes.
friends.
Right,
Friendly committees.
yeah.
So does that mean that we do need to dissolve the committee that's the advisory
Or-
team and get a new charge? I'm thinking, I guess I'm just thinking about the logistics of it being underneath the Council on Aging, how that happens.
Well, I think we'd have to ask them.
Yeah, what I would say is it would kind of be like more of a subcommittee. I
Yeah.
mean, we could look at amending the charge
Mm-hmm.
so to keep it cleaner, and then look at the membership criteria, and then kind of maybe go from there. But I do think the Council on Aging, we would need like their full support. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't say yes, but I think that we probably, our next step would probably be to, Rhiannon, if you don't mind, maybe on behalf of the committee, talking to them and seeing what their thoughts are and making it more of a collaboration. So like X amount of members from the Council on Aging and whatever other criteria you want to have. I will say a subcommittee is still under the open meeting law, and so you do have to post all your meetings. So just something to more keep in mind, like logistically, I don't know the challenges of having like a joint meetings like that. 'Cause I don't know what time of day the Council on Aging normally meets, but it would be something that we would just need commitment from other people. I mean, we can look at things like working groups that isn't subject to open meeting law
Okay.
as something to think about in like the initial stages, and then maybe look at something more formal as we kind of figure out what the needs are of the community after we kind of go through some of those steps. So we don't have to make it necessarily a really formal thing at first if we're trying to figure everything out, but that's just throwing out ideas.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about, because I have no problem with bringing that up with them. I already have. You know, they told me what it is they're doing now and what they feel they can't do. So I didn't know if it's something that I should just bring up at their regular monthly meeting, or if it needs to be more formal than that. You being in contact with their director, or, you know, someone from the select board being in contact with the director, I don't know how that works, asking if they will formally take this on. And I just don't know the logistics of how that works.
Well, I think that's the first thing we do, is we ask,
Well, yeah.
right?
Okay.
And then, and see if they have the capacity.
And when you say if they have the capacity, the membership of the dementia-friendly committee itself should be primarily people who have been dealing with this personally. So that's a given.
Yeah.
That's a primary given.
Right. So does the Council on Aging,
Do they have that information?
do they have that information? Can they actually
Right.
convene those people? I mean, do they provide services and support to them already? And, yeah,
And I think, we're looking for the Council on Aging as in like the physical like the department, or more of like the council itself, the body that meets? Because I feel like those are they're similar in some ways, but who's leading it is very different. So I don't think you necessarily don't want to have the staff representation,
Right.
but
Exactly.
I don't think exclusively just them.
That's
I think, right, the recruitment of members on this action team should come through them, you know, I'm thinking that if they are already connected with the community of folks with dementia, you know, starting with them, to reach out to the caregivers, to the people with dementia, to see, and then we support them on that. I think that's kind of where we got lost last time, because it was being heavily driven from the Commission on Disability.
Yes.
We didn't have support, per se, from the Councils on Aging. And I think that was a missing piece. And yet, because we're talking about, there are younger people with dementia, but predominantly like over 55, that really looking at the population that they serve have to have some, you know, there has to be some involvement from them, I think, if it's to be
If it's
successful.
to be, right.
So my understanding from the last meeting of the Council on Aging is that they do know who some of this population is, who belongs to some of that population. But at this time, they are not providing any services other than transportation to larger senior centers that can accommodate the needs.
Right, and I don't think at this stage we're looking for them to provide services.
Right.
What we're trying to do is convene an action team, and then the action team, by reaching out through their networks and their newsletters, bringing this action team together, which is made up of the folks with dementia, the caregivers, and then they can decide, and if they decide that, what their goals are, that, the memory clinics or the memory cafes and
Right.
different services, if they decide, then then there can be, let's put together an action plan, who's offering that, and how do we get the word out, things like that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that I'm presenting the proper things,
Yes.
Yeah,
so there's no confusion.
yeah, we just really need their initial support to reach out, to do the recruitment of the members, or,
I think,
Okay.
It also depends on this particular community. Some of the services that are offered in larger communities,
right,
a large community can do that. Tyngsborough is a small town. And so it's based on what do you see in this particular town, and comparing ourselves to anybody else. That's not going to work.
right.
That's not going to work.
I mean, and we might find that through the Commission on Disability, we have caregivers who are parents of children with disabilities and have, parents who are the grandparents with dementia, and so they're sort of like that club sandwich population. And, and this is where we really come in too, and we can work together. I don't think it's in isolation, but I think that the Councils on Aging definitely has to.
it's a good first step.
It's a
Yes.
good first step.
Yes.
We're not looking for them to provide services, we're just looking for them
Yeah,
for the recruitment of the action team.
Okay.
and we'll,
And then, once we have that, we can form the goals and then look
Yes.
at it,
That
right,
makes sense.
from that.
That makes sense.
hopefully we won't get
Make
COVID
sense?
again.
Yeah, that does make sense.
And maybe by then, we'll be ready to even have a table at the health. It's gonna take a year to get all this
Maybe.
done.
Yeah,
Maybe not,
who
but,
knows?
all right, so you'll be at the next meeting, and?
Their meeting is tomorrow, yes, I
Ah,
plan to
okay,
be there.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we just need to, the first item, let's form a team. So
Right.
how do we get the team members?
Right, and I mean, I just want to be sure that anyone listening to this understands that we are asking for their support.
Right.
We're asking for their collaboration, that we're asking.
Yeah, and exactly, and we're not saying we need you to provide all these supports. We just
No.
need to find the folks will drive the goals and the action plans, and then as a community, how do we support them? We can look at, where are memory cafes offered,
How do we advertise this
how do we
service?
advertise this? We
Yeah,
also know, like, from the last round, I believe Pepperell is doing outstanding work, or they were, if I recall. And I'm trying to think, you were saying that Lowell was starting
Lowell's
to do
starting
something.
too.
So there are things going on. We shouldn't be just starting off from square one. We should look
No.
at other towns,
Yeah.
what's worked with other towns, what hasn't worked, right, things like that.
Absolutely.
mm-hmm,
I think the senior center has just hired a new healthcare social worker
Yeah.
after someone had passed away. She probably has access to who's in town that
Yeah.
needs some services, who might be willing to think about being a member of an action team.
Mhm. Yeah. All right, so we have our first step.
I will
Good.
say one other thing. Kathleen mentioned that we talked at our last meeting about events. So in the future, and feel free to chime in, but that the National Honor Society would be willing to help. They've had students in the past that have volunteered at events or different things. So just feel free to add anything that I've missed, but something to keep in mind that the students are also willing to help as
mm-hmm.
whatever the plans are moving forward once we establish that action team, whatever the outcomes of that are.
Right. And we don't need a lot of people to start the team. We only just need a couple of people. Right. All right.
A couple of motivated, interesting,
Yeah.
Yes.
right,
Yeah,
right.
that's
you
it.
know? because they feel what's happening. They know personally what's happening and what the needs are.
Right, right. Okay. Any other comments on the dementia-friendly initiative? No?
No.
Okay. So the next item is the ADA transition plan projects, and so I'm making the motion that we table that and requesting that, Kat, you write up the memo that we can review, which is a summary of what items are left on the action plan, because it was quite extensive, and so extensive that my printer couldn't handle the printout. So, yeah, and so if we could just look at that next time.
Yeah, I agree, second that motion.
All in favor to table it?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, the next is the member reports from the Council on Aging. I don't know if you have any report.
I do not, they have not met again since our last meeting. We've been out of sync because of the holidays.
So you'll be going to the meeting tomorrow?
Yes.
And so when we reconvene, which will be December 9th, then, we can look at that.
Okay.
Okay,
Ninth.
great.
Snow.
So the next item is open forum. Anybody want to bring up anything on the open forum?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Do you want to bring anything up on the open forum? No?
No. No.
No? Okay. Well, then, last item is adjourn. Anybody want to, I make a motion to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.